Take 2. Theme music.
Who's the leader of the pack? Bringing legacy to you. Legacy, it's true. Stand up, gear up, join the fight. We're as fierce as we can be. With grit and might, we claim the night. We're the Legacy. Legacy Club. Legacy Club. Strong and unbreakable. Warriors with fire inside. In our hearts, we're invincible. Legacy Club. We charge ahead, we don't look back, our spirits battle ready. Through storm and strife, we live for the fight, our resolve is steady. From dawn till dusk, we won't be hushed, our voices roar with might. Black and white, we own the night, we are Legacy, Legacy Club.
Okay, hello, Legacy Club. Welcome back to the Legacy Club podcast. My name is Justin, a.k.a. the Portuguese Problem, a.k.a. the Menace of Madeira, a.k.a. the Azorian Nightmare. That's me. Oh, speaking of nightmares, like I said, take 2, man. Take 2. Take 1, my gimbal thing holding my camera up just is on its last legs, maybe, or the balance was off. I don't know, but it decided to get all floppy on me, so we had to start over. And I was like 2 hours in. I was like 5 minutes in, but still annoying, still aggravating. I like to jazz up what's behind me. And I guess this doesn't really matter for the audio only version, but for the video version, if you're watching, and I hope you do, I added this little jazzy number, my Lady of Guadalupe candle. Oh look, a thumbs up popped up. Don't know why. Do I just do a thumbs up and it like does it? I don't know how that happened. That was weird. I'm convinced there's like a demon following me around right now. There must be. That's the only logical thing that makes sense. Hopefully that candle, actually the candle probably aggravated it. That's what's happening. Leave me alone. Okay? Go away. I need holy water. If you have holy water, if you live near the Vatican, pick me up some. Send it. P.O. Box. Don't got one. Anyhow, yeah, I got that candle. I've had that candle. We've had that candle sitting in our kitchen for, Lord knows how long. And when I lit it, it smelled like burned hair for a second. And now it just smells like hot dust. So hot dust isn't as offensive as burnt hair. But let me tell you, it's not a pleasant smell. So I'm dealing with that right now. On top of technical issues. It's 1:30 in the a.m., by the way. Yeah, it's one of those days, guys. One of those days, necessary things I had to do. I set up my new laptop, which is cool. I enjoy it. It seems like it's going to alleviate some of the production pains that I was feeling previously, but time will tell. I'm not feeling optimistic after this gimbal situation and this burnt dust smell situation. And then the whole UFC 311 thing, my UFC 311 pre-fight podcast was rendered meaningless, half meaningless, a quarter meaningless maybe. I don't know, we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, so tonight I set up my new laptop. I packed up my old one because I'm sending the old one back to get some credit to alleviate the financial burden of getting a new laptop. When you trade a laptop into Apple, you have 14 days from the time you receive the pack up box and material to, or like when they send it, I don't know. But I had to get that done. Couldn't put it off anymore. I was putting it off because I had to finish up some stuff that I had already going on my previous laptop, like the Hortensia the cat and Fanny Cottontail character retrospectives. I had to finish editing those videos and some other stuff, but so wiping that, packing it up, opening this one up, getting it all set up and geared up, ready to go. It took a little more time than anticipated. And then Rhodey, my sweet son Rhodey, was doing one of those things again where he didn't feel like going to bed until 12:30. So that was cool. Just time. Time is not on my side today. But here we are. I'm committed to the daily. The daily episodes, we're still here. We're getting it done. We're charging ahead. Hopefully this take will stick. That would be ideal because I don't want to do a take 3 at 1:30 in the morning. It's gonna be stream of consciousness tonight, guys. I got nothing up my sleeve. These character retrospectives, the videos, have been taking more time than anticipated to edit together and get posted up. Hopefully you're watching those. Please watch those. Please help me feel like my time and efforts are worthwhile and meaningful beyond just, for my own narcissistic satisfaction. I'm probably going to cut down to like maybe doing one character retrospective a week. Last week I did like 4, and that was too much time doing the post-production for those. But I still enjoy doing them. I just have to I don't know what I'm going to do about it. Keep doing them, but I got to find a better workflow for it. So UFC, man, UFC 311. I got that recorded, got the audio version posted. I didn't want to post the video version because I was in the middle of editing the Hortensia the cat video. So I wanted to get that one done, and then I wanted to get the Fanny Cottontail video done, which was shorter, and I figured I can get that one done pretty quickly, and then I could get the pre-fight podcast video edited and posted on Friday. So there would still be a good like 24 hours people could watch it before the fights took place. Well, before I could do that, the main card lineup for UFC 311 went all topsy-turvy. So everything I talked about, not everything I talked about, but like 25% of what I talked about was just insignificant anymore. Two of the fighters on the card were no longer fighting. They weren't fighting each other. So it rendered 2 fights in there somewhat meaningless that I had talked about, and then they took one of the prelim fights and added it to the main card, so I didn't even talk about that one at all. So yeah, watching that video would have just been kind of pointless by the time everything erupted and resettled itself. But hopefully, I mean, it happens, but thanks for everyone who did listen. There was quite a few people who listened to the audio version of that podcast, and we'll try again next time. Yeah, so what happened was, let me just pull stuff up. UFC 311. All right. So what had happened was Renato Moicano was supposed to be fighting Beneil Dariush. Cool. Talked about that. Well, That fight got taken off the card. Leal Dariush didn't fight at all. And Renato Moicano got kicked up to the main event. He fought for the belt. he fought for the belt because Arman Tsarukyan sustained a back injury like 24 hours before he was supposed to fight. He did the press conference and like the whole nine, and then hurt himself. Now, I'm of the mind that no fighter should enter a fight of that magnitude, especially significantly compromised. I mean, fighters are always going to be going into fights with like an ache or a pain or something that's no one's ever truly 100% going into a fight because, you know, you're getting beat up to go get really beat up. And it happens. Training is a grueling task. And, you know, in the fight game, it's just, who knows? There's always that aura of possibility that an injury can happen. But 24 hours before your fight, Arman, 24 hours before your fight, you hurt your back. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing to hurt your back that close to your title shot? Like, this is what you've been aiming for. This is what you've been working for. And you had a strong possibility of performing very well against who is the pound for pound best fighter in the world at the moment. Islam Makhachev. I think he's pound for pound best fighter in the world right now. You know, people are going to argue John Jones, but John Jones is an old man when it comes to mixed martial arts, like prize fighting. He definitely is one of the greatest of all time. But when you're talking about active fighters and not fighters of all time, it's, you know, Islam Makhachev is a bit more impressive at the moment. That's what I'll say. So, Beneil Dariush against Renato Moicano, canceled. Islam Makhachev against Arman Tsarukyan, canceled. They kept Renato Moicano on the card and put him in the main event slot. Number 10 guy fighting the champion. It was still an interesting fight because Renato Moicano is very flashy. He's a great fighter. He's a great entertainer. But experience kicked in, and he was tapped out first round. You know, it was still a cool event. It was still cool. You know, nobody was overly disappointed in the turn of events, but nevertheless, it rendered everything I said going into the weekend, you know, almost meaningless. But let's see, how did I do with my picks? Well, starting off with Kevin Holland versus Ritter, RDR, Renier D. Ritter. I don't know how to pronounce his name. That's the best I'm going to do. Kevin Holland got submitted in round 1. He was tapped out. So that fight was a bit lackluster. Man, Kevin Holland needs a win. Kevin Holland is phenomenally entertaining. I really, really like him as a fighter. I really enjoy watching his fights. I really enjoy watching everything he does leading up to the fights. I like his press conferences. I like watching the UFC embeddeds. He has that star quality, you know, they call him the mouth. He talks a lot of ish. But you know, that only takes you so far. Charisma and star power is only a piece of the puzzle. Like you have to win your fights too. And he's kind of on a skid right now. He's on a bit of a skid. I think this might be like his 4th loss out of his last 5 fights, and that's not that kind of takes you out of main card material. I mean, maybe you can be a main card fighter on a fight night, but pay-per-view main card, you're not. You know, that's kind of like prelim, like rankings, I guess. So that was disappointing. I really thought Kevin Holland could pull it off if he stayed on the feet. Well, guess what? They didn't stay on the feet. Good game plan by RDR. Great game plan by RDR. Like why strike with, like, why stand, you know, face to face with a phenomenal striker with so wrestling? I just wrestle the dude, and odds are that'll land in your favor. So the fight that they added to the main card was Jelton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak, and that fight, look, I'm not a huge Almeida fan. I appreciate his skill set. I appreciate how good he is, and he's on a tear right now. It feels like he's won his last few. My cousin Josie, she's my fight buddy. Like, every time there's a pay-per-view coming up, like Thursday or Friday, one of us messages the other and is like, "Hey, who do you got?" And, you know, we geek out over MMA together. And we both don't like Jolton Almeida. Both of us, we just don't. We're just not fans. He's kind of, he's not boring, I guess. He just feels like a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? Like, but then again, like, how do you argue a fighter utilizing their best set of tools to ensure the win? I mean, that's common sense. You know, if you're awesome on the ground, you're going to want to be on the ground. But as a viewer, it's not as exciting, especially if you're a casual viewer. Like, you want to see people punching and kicking each other. If you don't have a understanding of, like, the intricacies of jiu-jitsu, or like hold an appreciation for wrestling, ground fighting is kind of lackluster. If you understand, like, the intricacies of jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, then you can watch and see what's going on, and you're like, oh, okay, it's beneficial. It's very beneficial to have an understanding of, you know, ground fighting, especially if you're watching somebody who all they seem to do is fight on the ground. Almeida seemed like he was not going to win that fight. It really seemed like that first round he was getting dominated pretty significantly, but then fight game, man, in the blink of an eye, he caught the advantage and just walloped Spivak and got the win. So good for him. But I didn't talk about that in my pre-fight podcast because that fight wasn't on the main card. So that was a whole lot of nothing if you listened to my last episode. Then we had Yuri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill. I got that one right. I had my money on Yuri, and he came in and he really put on a show. Like, it was a battle. I wouldn't call it a war, but it was definitely a battle. Jamal Hill showed up. Jamal Hill was in good form. He landed some good shots. Like, it really was a entertaining fight. There were moments that you could easily see either side pulling out a victory. And like with those two guys, especially those two guys, you're waiting for the knockout. You don't really anticipate judges coming in. So when like a fighter wins a round in a matchup like that, you're like, okay, well, he lost this round, he lost that round, but there's always that window of opportunity for either of them to just land what they need to land and then win the fight. Yuri happened to get that. So he got the TKO. He knocked out Jamal Hill in the last round, which, and I'm glad Yuri won. Yuri, he's just a good guy, it seems. I clearly don't know the guy, but from what you see of him, how he carries himself, how he presents himself, I don't know anybody who doesn't root for Yuri Prochazka. And everybody has Yuri Prochazka like on their top 10 favorite fighters list right now. I did not call the co-main event correctly. Umar Nurmagomedov did not show up the way I thought he would. Apparently he broke his hand in the first round. So that definitely, I mean, compromised it. Like, a broken hand. You have a broken hand. What are you gonna do? Like, your hands are pretty important in a fight. There were the first couple rounds, it seemed like Umar was taking the lead, but Merab, I can never say his last name, Merab Dwelishvili, I don't know how to pronounce the name, so we're just gonna call him Merab. He is just like, I don't know who's going to beat him in that division. I can't really see anybody beating him in that division. He's beat pretty much everyone who could beat him. So that's going to be a reign of terror for a while, and I'm here for it because I like Merab a lot. I like Merab's another just seemingly humble, good dude, but while he's fighting, he plays to the crowd so much. Like, he's probably the most entertaining fighter we have right now in the UFC, like in the ring, you know what I mean? Like, just his antics. And well, he got in trouble in the fight that he won the belt. He fought Sean O'Malley at UFC Noche in the Sphere. I think I called it Ocho in the pre-fight podcast, which I don't know, man. Noche, Ocho. I don't know. UFC Noche. He got in trouble because he was kissing the back of Sean O'Malley. He had him like up against the cage in kind of like a guillotine. He had him bent over and he had his head, maybe, if I'm remembering it correctly, and he like kissed his back, and the ref stepped in and said, "Stop doing that." Like, what are you doing? No kissing. Like, I don't know. He's a wild boy. He's a wild boy, and I appreciate it, and I'm glad he still has the belt. I thought Umar was going to take it, and I think I just fell victim to the Nurmagomedov name. Like, it's Habib's cousin, and if you know anything about UFC or MMA, Habib Nurmagomedov is just like, he's a legend. And if he's your coach, if he's the coach of a fighter, then you think that fighter is like really, it adds a very, very powerful advantage, especially when it comes to wrestling. Well, Umar's not a wrestler per se. He's more of a stand-up kickboxer sort of fighter. So we got to see firsthand that his wrestling is not of the caliber that like where his cousin's at, Habib. He needs more time. He's a young guy. He's got a lot of time left, so he may have the belt one day, but this was not his time. Speaking of guys coached by Habib, in the main event, in our new main event, it was Renato Moicano, who was supposed to fight earlier on the main card against Beneil Dariush, and he would have won that fight. He would have beat Beneil Dariush. Like, no question in my mind, he would have won that fight. But, you know, with Arman being hurt, they asked him, hey, will you step up and fight for the title? And, you know, you don't ever say no to that. Even if you're going to lose, the fact that you said yes on short notice for a title fight and you save the card, essentially, that puts you in like such high regard and such good standing in the UFC that even him losing, it didn't drop his value as a fighter at all. Like, at all. Sure, he has one more loss on his record, but it's kind of one of those losses that doesn't, I mean, it counts, but it doesn't count. You know what I mean? It doesn't count in the heart and minds of the fan or the mind of the organization. That loss is just a number. But it was wild. I mean, hearing that he was stepping up to fight for the title, I don't feel like anyone that I spoke with or any commentators that I watched or anything, nobody was like, oh, this is a giant downgrade. It kind of was a giant downgrade because Arman Tsarukyan was really kind of the last bastion for anybody in that division, being a threat to Islam Makhachev. And now he has to earn his place back. You know, it's like, yeah, he got injured. Don't fight injured. But at the same time, when you pull out of a title fight, the main event 24 hours prior due to an injury, like, what do you don't do things that's going to possibly injure you 24 hours before your title fight. That's crazy. It's crazy. But whatever, he did it, and you can kind of tell that Dana White's upset with him because in the post-fight press conference, they asked Dana White, like, is Umar going to get, not Umar, is, what am I saying? Who was I just talking about? I just said his name 4 seconds ago. Arman Tsarukyan. Whoa. Wow. It's late, guys. It's late. It's almost 2 a.m. But yeah, they asked him, like, is Arman, lined up for the next shot at the title? And Dana White's like, no, we're not going to give him another chance. He has to earn his next chance. And it's like, well, there you go, man. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, I guess. Like, I really can't fathom, like, what he was doing to injure his back so severely that he couldn't fight. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Whatever you did, do that weeks out in training camp. Do that while you're preparing for the fight way early on, not the day before. So the main event didn't last long. Islam Makhachev is a monster. And he submitted Renato Moicano in the first round. Same way he submitted Dustin Poirier with I think it was a Darce choke. So there you have it. There you have it, folks, with that at least. It was, all in all, it was still a really good pay-per-view. It was a really good set of fights to kick off the year. I don't know if any of those fights are going to be remembered in October. Like, none of them are going to stand the test of time through the year to be like fight of the year. If they do, then we're set up for a really boring year. But I don't really see that being the case because we already got they announced Alex Pereira fighting Magomedov in March. I think it's March. And on that same card, they have Justin Gaethje fighting Dan Hooker. And that Gaethje Hooker fight's going to be a bloodbath. Like, that's going to, I feel like Dan Hooker bleeds. He's one of those fighters that can, he can get opened up pretty quick. So yeah, that one's going to be a mess. And then we have Alex Pereira against Magomedov, and that one, we'll see how that one goes. Like, that's going to be, I think, Alex's hardest challenge yet. But I mean, I kind of feel like that's been said a few times. So if Powhatan can find that opening, it's going to be another knockout. And so if Alex wins, I don't know who he fights, because he's really kind of wiped out the top of the lightweight division. I mean, since Yuri just won over Jamal Hill, I mean, that puts him right back up there for title contention, but that would be the third fight against Alex, and Yuri lost the first two, so it would be Yuri versus Alex 3. I mean, I would still watch it. Like, I'd still watch it. I don't know anybody who wouldn't. Nobody would be disappointed by that fight being announced, but it's just kind of like, he knocked him out the first two times. You're just kind of expecting, it's going to get knocked out again. But Yuri's awesome. You know, what's not to love about Yuri? Alex is awesome, and the two of them squaring off is never going to be a bummer of a matchup. I mean, if Yuri loses again a fourth time around, probably wouldn't be something we want to see. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Weirder things have happened, I guess. So yeah, that's how that all turned out, and you know, I'll be better prepared next pay-per-view for getting the video up and stuff. But anyhow, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot top of mind to get into. This was more of a commitment to keeping the daily podcasts rolling, and not so much I have so much to talk about. I don't know if in the episode where I talked about what I'm looking forward to, like possible fights coming for 2025, I don't know if I threw Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker out there. I think I may have. I don't know if I did, but if I didn't, I should have, because that's going to be a really cool matchup. We'll see, though. We shall see. I'm just glad that UFC is back, and I have something to look forward to every Saturday. I mean, I have a lot of things to look forward to, but that's like my thing. You know what I mean? Like, people are excited about football on Sundays or college football on Saturday. I'm not a football guy, so none of that appeals to me. But yeah, watching the fights is something I do look forward to every week. Even the fight nights, and we should be getting a lot of good fight nights coming up. We definitely have Israel Adesanya. He's headlining a fight night, so that's going to be cool to get to see him without buying a pay-per-view. That's the first time that's happened in, Lord knows how long. Speaking of Israel Adesanya, his YouTube channel, he did a couple episodes with Robert Whittaker, who is has been a rival of his for years in the middleweight division, and seeing them be buddies is just like something I didn't know I wanted to see. It was just very cool. Like, their dynamic together is really fun. So hopefully they get to be friends for a while and they don't have to fight each other anytime soon, or knowing that they're pals now, them fighting each other, that'd be an interesting thing to see, because How does that change the dynamic going into a fight? Because when you're a rival with somebody and you kind of have like a professional animosity towards your opponent, that's definitely something that gets some fight hype up. But you know, two of the most dominant guys in the division being buddies and then having to fight, I mean, that's a different dynamic, and I think that'd be fun to see. So who knows if they'll do that. What else is that? Not a whole lot else. I gotta get to editing vlogs. I have to get to editing vlog stuff. So that's gonna be pretty much the prime focus editing wise this week, because I don't have any intention on doing as many character retrospectives as I've been doing, because that process, that post-production process, is just a lot. But I got the new computer, so maybe I'll be able to do it faster now. I don't necessarily know if, like, because I add a lot into those videos, like a lot of things that pop up and, you know, visual references to what I'm talking about. So depending on the character, if there's a lot of things that I can pull up to, you know, represent visually, I dig it up and I throw it in there. And sometimes digging it up with these old vintage characters takes a hot minute or two. Yeah, I'm winding down into the Oh, hey, tomorrow, I guess when this goes out, today, is the inauguration of President Donald Trump for his second time around. And, you know, I'm curious to see if any foul play, you know, pops up. Hopefully not. Hopefully people just go with it, just accept it. It is what it is. Like them, love them, dislike them, hate them. It is what it is. Just, you know, whatever. I don't understand these people who like talk about him being a fascist and a dictator and all these crazy things. And it's like, you know, he did this already, right? He already was president for 4 years, and he didn't do or exemplify any of those things you're accusing him of. Like, you're just parroting mainstream media nonsense to, I don't know. Where is your rage coming from? Like, how much of your life is genuinely affected by the president day to day? You know what I mean? Like, this last 4 years, there was a lot of day to day overstepping with like the whole COVID thing and the quote unquote vaccine, which again, wasn't one, didn't do anything that it was said to do. Am I rearing my head again? Am I rearing my head to get people to stop listening? I'm not I'm not passionate about politics. It's not something that like I live or die by, but I do live and die by rational thought and logic. And a lot of rational thought and logic seem to have been demonized, for lack of a better word, in this last administration. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just the last 4 or 5 years, like maybe even longer, into Trump's first term as president. Like, it was just very, I don't know, man. People got wild. They got wild, and they became very emboldened and very passionate about things that like didn't make any sense. And then you try to say, hey, that doesn't make sense. And then you start getting called all kinds of crazy names. And it's like, bro, can we just not take reality as reality? Like, why are we trying to manipulate reality to fit what? you feeling like you're a better person than other people. I don't know. So I'm curious to see how that goes. TikTok was shut down for like a day, for like an evening. And then I'm curious. Okay, here's something that's sparked my curiosity. So Saturday night, if you opened up TikTok, you got this like disclaimer of, hey, TikTok is, it's not verbatim, but it was like, TikTok is non-operational in the United States. And in the message, it said, we're grateful for President Trump to keep like the door open for the possibility of TikTok being able to return. So, to my understanding, I don't use TikTok. I don't use it. I have one. There is a Leal Legacy TikTok, and I'll throw things up there if I think about it while I'm like laying on the couch trying to get a kid down for a nap or something, and I'm just kind of like scrolling around my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, TikTok's a thing. I'll throw something up there, but I'm not a TikToker. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. I don't really truly understand the whole to-do about like the ban of TikTok or anything like that. Something about like it being owned by a foreign entity, and that foreign entity is now able to collect and like tap into all your data and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but isn't that the same thing that every other company under the sun does? Like every other social media platform does the exact same thing, but since they're US based, it's okay. Like maybe I get that. I don't know. I personally don't want anyone dabbling in my data, but at the same time, I'm not really entirely sure. Like, does the dabbling in my data just means you're going to show me things I'm into? You're going to try to sell me things you think I would like? Because I'm okay with that. You're gonna cut the fat on like my Amazon searches, or I don't know, but to my understanding, the majority of TikTok users are of the persuasion of like being super duper anti-Trump. Okay, what if Trump's the one that saves your beloved platform? What if the guy you hate so much is able to save the thing you love so much? Like what happens then? Like, does he score points with you, or are you still going to passionately hate the guy even though he kept your time suck app alive? These are questions. These are questions. And like Facebook, like Meta. I'm team Meta now. For two reasons. One, they added Dana White to their like board of directors or something. So if Dana White's involved, that's A-okay with me. That's a positive. That's a move in the right direction. There's not. I don't foresee Dana White becoming entwined with an organization being a negative thing for said organization. So the fact that Dana White's entwined with Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, what have you, I think good. Cool. That's awesome. And then Mark Zuckerberg came out and he was like, hey, so the last chunk of time we have been, in the crazy censorship game, and they're getting rid of their fact checkers, and they're going to the what do they call it? The was it fact checkers? I don't know. Instead of having like a team of people deciding what can and can't be said on Facebook, it's going to go to like the public, like on X, where people can fact check, like users can fact check posts and provide counter resources to whatever the post said, and like it's more of a do your own research and come up with your own, ideas, and determine for yourself whether or not the information you're reading is of value or if it's just nonsense. And that's cool. I think that's great. I'm a proponent of free speech, which again, all of a sudden being a proponent of free speech became like you're some sort of what? Like that's what the country is based on, freedom. And freedom of speech is in the Constitution, and I don't ever want to live in the nightmarish state where things you say can ruin your life, like legally, like what's going on over in the UK. Speaking of the UK, I've got some chums over in the UK, and hey guys, what's wrong with your country? Like, they arrest like an 80-year-old man for talking nonsense on Facebook? That's crazy. Like, you could just say some wild nonsense on the internet, and then the police come knocking on your door to put you in a cage. What? Like, huh? I see, like, look at the value of free speech of just like, don't you want to know who you don't want to talk to? Like, that seems pretty valuable to me. Like, if somebody is saying just like horrendous, just way out there crazy things, okay, read it and go, oh, that person's a nut, and move on. Know that you don't want to see any more of what said person has to say. Cool. But to make it a crime that's bonkers. And if you're the kind of person that thinks like free speech is a detriment to society, then either you're a dummy, or you're confused, or you're just trying to get some sort of like weird social clout with other weirdos who think that same way. But never once was I like ever had the thought of, these people I don't agree with should not be allowed to say what they think. Because no, I want to know what they think. I want to see what they have to say, because it makes filtering out the crazies so much easier. So much easier. So, I don't know, dude. I don't know. That whole saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can never hurt you. Like, that's a real thing. If you're the type to get shook or crippled by words, then I don't know. You're a level of weak that I just can't comprehend. Because like, but then the counter could be like, well, I'm sure there's things that you wouldn't want someone to say to you. It's like, okay, yeah. And if somebody said something to me that I didn't care for, there are options, like ignore them, or given the severity of what they're saying, if they say it to my face, if they talk some trash about my mom or something, then I can hit them. Like, well, there you go. Like, I don't know, man. It's bonkers. It's bonkers, and I guess the inauguration, like, we'll really get to see just how bonkers it could all get. Maybe nothing will happen. And the world is, maybe not the world, but the country is setting its course correcting. It's course correcting. That's what it is. Again, you don't want to interact with people saying racist or whatever things. Okay, good. Don't interact with them. Like, whatever. Like, don't read that's why there's a block button on every social media platform under the sun. There's a mute option. There's loads of ways to get that out of your line of sight. So utilize it. But taking away the ability to say it, that's a slippery slope to getting just really anything taken away. Sorry, my dog is making noise over there, and I wish I could take away her ability to speak. I don't know. That was weird. She's not speaking. She's like chewing or licking something that's too loud for my taste. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I do really have that question of, just like when Zuckerberg came out and he was just like, yeah, we're getting rid of, the whole censorship thing, and people are going to be able to speak more freely and blah, blah, blah. And then people were complaining about it on Instagram. And it's like, okay, if you're so against his new approach to his company, then why are you still utilizing his products? That seems hypocritical. That seems nonsensical. It's like when Elon Musk bought Twitter, and it's like the people are like, I'm leaving Twitter. It's like, okay, nobody cares. You're leaving Twitter? Great. You still exist. I mean, like, what do you think leaving Twitter was going to do? Like, people were going to miss you? No. Nobody cares. Nobody cared. But you still got people on there like talking smack on this dude's platform that he owns. Like, why are you here? If you're so anti this guy and what he does, why are you like supporting his product? Doesn't make sense. Like, I just want things to make sense again. That's all. I don't think it's a lot to ask. But anyhow, I went on a little longer than I get to ranting about that stuff, and I just go. I just go. But ultimately, even just saying all the things I just said, I don't find any of it to be offensive. I don't find any of it to be rude. I don't find it to be derogatory in any way. But there's probably going to be some folks out there who want to leave a 1-star rating on my Spotify. because I don't know. Because I don't hate the bad man just like they do. It's like, okay, cool. Whatever. But anyhow, if you're still here, if you don't want to cast me aside for having independent thought, go check out leallegacy.com for a whole bunch more of independent thought and me saying wild things. Nothing too wild, just whatever chaos goes through my brain and out my mouth. leallegacy.com, find all the other back episodes of this podcast, find a whole bunch of commentaries, be it cartoon commentaries or ride-alongs on Disney rides or commentaries to Disney feature films. You can find all that at leallegacy.com. And if you really want to show your support, go to our shop, click the shop tab on leallegacy.com, or just go straight to the source at legacyclubclo.com and pick yourself up something nice like this hoodie, like our little Golden Gloves Legacy hoodie. We got buffalo plaid. That's new. So it's our fists like this, but it's buffalo plaid. Oh, and they're embroidered too. I'm really into embroidery right now. I think embroidery is just so much nicer than screen printing, especially on like hoodies and stuff. So go score yourself some sweet Legacy merch. And if you're not in the market of spending money at this current junction in time, then do show your support in the free way. Just go and subscribe, like, leave a comment, leave a review, smash the like button. All those things, all of them, no matter where it is, on the YouTube, on the Spotify, on your other podcast provider of choice, or your other streaming platform of choice. leave us a review, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anytime we post. Speaking of posts, Leal Legacy across the board on all your favorite social media platforms at Leal Legacy. And voila, that's it. That's all I got. Until tomorrow, thanks for being a friend and telling a friend. See ya.